Thank you, President Monroe, for coming to speak with me. Starting off your presidency, you will be following the War of 1812. There are mainly four causes of this war. There are political pressure from the people called the War Hawks. We want to gain more area for farming. There were a lot of impressment of our people out at sea, and there was problems with the Native Americans. First off, we had the people calling themselves the War Hawks. They were members of Congress from the South and the West that wanted us to go to war because they thought that Britain was taking away our freedoms and liberties. They decided on being very vocal and trying to get people behind them, mainly people from the South and West, to try and convince Congress. It was really putting a lot of political pressure on the federal administration and having them start to think about actually going to war so the president and Congress members can have a chance of getting reelected. For the second cause, as we were moving out west, we had big problems with going into Native American territory. So just as we used to do, we took it from them and fought over who got to actually keep it. But this time it was slightly different. Their leader Tecumseh joined the British against us, and in return the British gave them weapons such as rifles. This became a big problem since our relationship with the Native Americans became sour and it became harder for us to move out west and not lose as many people. As stated before, we were trying to move out west and now into Canada. This is because we wanted to gain more land for more agriculture and more Jeffersonian society. But as said before, we had problems with the Native Americans. They weren't complying with us, and it was even harder after we won a battle and figured out they were working with the British. We wanted to really expand past the Mississippi River so it was easier to trade and not fight about borders. And it would have really helped with our need to have lots of area and land for Jefferson's idea of an agriculture-based society. Finally, the seas to go to Europe became very unsafe for our sailors due to a lot of impressment. A lot of them had to be docked by the British so that they didn't have contraband, and while docking, the British Navy impressed a lot of them because they thought they were British citizens trying to run away. Then the British ship, the Leopard, opened fire on one of the U.S. ships after we didn't let them on board. After they eventually boarded, they then stole from us and impressed even more people. It's really significant because it raised the price on the southern and western farmers' goods because they had to sell to only the north, and the north then had to raise the fee on the south and west because they had to cover the potential cost of ships having less men in repairing the damage done to them. As for the outcome, no one really won, but the Native Americans definitely lost. Tecumseh died in the Battle of Thames. We went back to decent terms with Britain, and no land was lost, but no land was gained. We gained a bit of nationalism, which could be good in certain circumstances, but for this it was mainly because a boat called the USS Constitution, nicknamed the Old Ironside because it survived a cannonball straight to the hull. Because we killed and took a bunch of Native American land, we don't really have good relationships with them right now. If I were to give you some advice for your presidency, now I would suggest that you listen to the people, listen to their wants and needs, and try to please them in one way, shape, or form. Also, you could try your hardest to work with Congress and the judicial branch to get rid of the national debt, get as much money into the country as possible so we can advance with our technology. Also, please try to get in better relationships with the Native Americans. Thank you.